Hello, everyone. Welcome to me. I don't know why I'm so excited today. And anyway, someone said I'm always excited. I have to be excited because I'm thankful to God. So,
Yeah.
welcome everybody. If you're just coming in, thank you so much, day in, day out, week in, week out, for joining us. My name is Semi Ajayi, and of course, we've got the greatest on our show. He's greatness, and Heidi Solomon. I want to steal Soliman. Anyway, welcome. Today we have Heidi in the car. It's good to
Yes,
see you in the car, Heidi.
thank
Did
you.
you
And
buy a car? It
ah,
looks
no,
new.
no, this is my usual car. It has been at the mechanic for about 5 or 6 days now, I think, and it had a problem. But let's see what happens. I don't think it's fixed completely, so we'll see. It might go back again. And yes, and I was busy last week, and that's why I couldn't tune in. And I am this week at the same place as well, so I'm doing a course in pranic healing, and that's why I did the basic um, last week, and then this week I'm doing the advanced. So this is why I couldn't tune in last week.
Planet healing. You're going to tell us more about that in a minute. And
Yes.
I must apologize, Heidi, last week. I forgot to even mention your name.
I see that.
I think I was too excited, and I'm like, did I even?
Yeah.
But we miss you so much, Heidi, and you know that
Thank
we miss you.
you.
We miss you. It's good to have you. You tell us more about the healing thing. You're all into healing. We're gonna hear more about it.
Yeah.
And Miss Greatness, you are looking like that. What's up?
Well, I mean this is my usual look really. This week over this few weeks that passed away. There's so many people dying in Namibia. I'm even talking about the week that has passed away. Oh, yeah. I mean, the few weeks that passed, I've just been doing scarves, So I think this is me for the near future.
Did you say you've been doing scarves?
Yeah, the last few weeks, every day I had a scarf when we come together.
Oh, like the hair, like that on your
That's
head.
right. That's
Ah,
right.
ah. Yeah, you're
So
doing
this
it.
this is my usual, nothing extraordinary. This is the ordinary.
Well, to us, my shot to Heidi is not. It look extra to me. It look extra to me, but it's always good to see you. Last week was awesome. Lot of
Yeah.
feedback, and we talked about ID. We miss you so much last week. We talked about how young would you go as a lady choosing a life partner. But all through the day, on last Saturday, I was talking about my son. How my son go, but it was supposed to be. The reason why I said that was one of my friend was talking about, you know, uh, her son, and this my friend was, like quite an influential lady, and highly a community person. And so I thought by now she will know that, you know uh, to some extent, that age is a number, really, and doesn't it depends on the values. And so that challenged me, and because she was talking about her son, that's why I was talking about my son. That, okay, honey, you find a nice girl who is wise, who is smart, is older than you, 2 3 years. I can't even be bothered, as long as your spirit connects and God connect you together. So that's what we did. We got good feedback, so that was excellent. But today we've got another issue which we're going to discuss, and this issue has to do with everything in life. Basically, it's either you've gone through one, or you're about to get into one, or whatever, which is the issue of litigation. Issue is, God forbid, we get into bankruptcy, but people get there, and sometimes it's not even by choice or whatever design. They get into it, and we're going to get into that today, which is an amazing thing. But ID, tell us about your healing that you've been doing this week.
Yeah, sure. So basically, Temi, pranic healing is all about using the body's own ability to heal itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that same force that you're a nurse, you know what I'm talking about. When you have a little cut in your hand,
Yes.
and then your skin just goes back and then it blends back in, and then every part of the skin, the dermis, the epidermis, and all of that, all these different layers of the skin, they actually tend to heal back without any kind of force, without any kind of guidance from us, and this is called the body's natural ability to heal. Well,
Okay.
we in pranic healing, we use the body's natural ability to heal by directing the energies to these places that need healing. And that's all.
So
So
when you say you direct the body, so I know, as like you said, with the cut, the maybe cut, and then you got blood loss, we might say to elevate it. We might say to, instead of dropping your arm down if it's cut at the lower arm, and then you're going to lose a lot of blood, we might say bend it, put it in sling. And also when it's healing, we allow the blood to flow to the surface where it's cut so it can self-heal. We understand that. But with you, what strategy would you massage it, blood to go to the site, or do you conjure any spirit, or what? How do you do it?
no spirit, nothing outside the person's own body. Nothing outside that area of this is the person and this is their own energetic body. So the human beings, they have a mental body, an emotional body, and an
Mhm.
energetic body. So
Yeah.
we don't use anything outside the person's own body and all the bodies that is inside them. So basically, that power, Temi, that power is used, directed properly by a special practitioner that understands what pranic healing is. And then it's going towards healing that part of the person that is sick, or that area of the person, or that organ of the person that is sick. And that's basically what pranic healing is. I'll tell you a story, and that story is from the Bible, where pranic healing was used. So
Okay.
back when Jesus was around and he was actually walking down in with the crowd, there was so many people there. It was so crowded,
Mm.
and this woman, she was bleeding
Yeah.
for many years.
Hmm.
She had an intention. She set an intention, and she said, if I touch this man's robe, I heal.
Hmm.
She knew that this man is emitting energy. And if she touches only his robe, not him, not his hand, not his feet, nothing got to do with him, just his robe, she will heal. So she
Yeah.
walked in, and then she went around inside the crowd, and then she touched him. And
Yeah.
then went around and he goes, who touched me? And then one of the disciples asked him, what do you mean, who touched you, Lord? There is
Hmm.
so many people around. This is such a crowd. And you're asking who touched you? There is 100 people here. They all touched you. But he
Yeah.
said this. He said, I felt power come out of
Of
me.
yeah. Yes.
So
Get
he
you.
felt power. Now, what is power? What is that power? That power is energy. And that energy, that woman was able to direct it towards her. She was able to take that energy inside her to heal her um, body that is bleeding for years. And that is pranic healing. Basically, it's all about that. It's all about someone with conscious through directing the energy inside someone else's body and making that body heal using their own energy. That is given by God Almighty. Nothing got to do with me, nothing got to do with anything else. It's just God's energy inside that person.
Wow. All right. We got that. Is some of us were just very careful. We don't want to go a diabolical way. If it's a language that we don't know, we query it. We just believe with Jesus Christ. Your spirit you have to believe even before it happened. You have to desire.
Yeah.
Like that woman, you said she was pushy, she was pressing, she wanted it, and then she knew when she saw it. But
Yeah.
Anyway, fantastic one, and best of luck on that idea. I like the way you just keep pushing,
Thank
and what you believe. You're at least you know that God is the one that is giving you this
you. Yeah,
ability to do. We've
yeah.
all got it. All right, we're gonna go on a quick break, and I'm gonna come talk to you a little bit about the man that we're having on the show today. Go on a quick break, and we'll be back. Welcome back on Hanging Out with Tammy. My name is Tammy Ajayi. I've got Liz with me and Heidi. And we've been chatting just before. Heidi was telling us about the energy and the healing power. I said the healing power that is in the blood. Anyway, but today, why do I like lawyers? Maybe I'm a
I don't know.
troublemaker. We've got what an amazing lawyer that is coming on the show today. I will
Okay.
I will ask him if I can call him my lawyer because he's worked for me or with me a few times. So I don't know. I've got these lawyers, but he is an amazing lawyer in the person of uh, Josh Dinesh. Lawyer. He's a lawyer, and the wife also is a lawyer. He operates in commercial law and in family law. Come talk to us about it. I thought there's a whole lot of things happening. A lot of times I'm like, we need to get a lawyer to educate us on our rights, and so that we know not to. So when you know your right, you don't go fight blindly, and you
Yeah.
cannot do life alone. Like, people hit you, they do hit and run, or they might owe you money and met away with the money, and especially if you are doing businesses as well. Or talk about rental. I think rental is a big one. You don't know the lease agreement, what you signed for, how do you get out of it, and stuff like that. And a lot of time, I think the landlords and the agents, they do a quick one on us, and we don't know. So we thought we'd bring the lawyer to come and talk to us. Also, bankruptcy. Oh my gosh. I think Joshi lawyer helped me with at a stage of my life as well when I got involved into issue. Somebody that I did not verify very well their background, and they use the notion that they're Christians. You see, this particular person was a Christian. He says called himself something, and so you thought a brother that really need help. Let us work with them to support each other. Brought him into my business, and all he did was took all my money, ran away. It was really, really bad. Old person. And then he says
Wow.
we went into business arrangement together. We were doing some training. We did the training. He went and changed the bank account of the company to his own account, and they paid money that's supposed to go to the company to his account. Bad, bad. I'm telling you. I did a lease on a property for 5 years. I signed for the lease. This guy went because I wasn't going there. You see, I trusted him. I don't need to go. You're there. It's like you're somewhere, Liz or Heidi, and I'll be, what is happening. I want to see the landlord. It doesn't matter. I make payments every month, and I sign the lease. It's on my name, not knowing that the landlord comes there every time, and they get chatting. And then he told the landlord, I'm the owner of this company. You never see anybody, I'm the one. And guess what?
Wow.
I'm paying the money. So when I discovered that this guy did bad on me, I got to the lawyer, to the landlord, and I said to the landlord, I need to stop this whole business altogether. So I need to shut it down. And you know what he says to me? Well, the lease is on your name, but this guy that is in the building will continue to use it. I will continue to pay the lease every month, and then he will continue to use it because his name is somewhere. Can you believe it? For 5 years. So I said, no, remove my name, transfer the name to the guy that is there, and so he can continue the lease and he can continue to pay you. He says no. That it was really, really bad.
Wow.
A big drama. So I had to get Joshi lawyer involved and everything before this was resolved. It was a drama. You see? So Joshi is coming now. Dinesh will tell us how do you prepare. Don't use this my friend, is my family to get into
Mm.
business. Do that. It's my friend, it's my family. Let us just do business together. It doesn't matter. So I think we're gonna get a lot from these guys switched on. It's too much. We're gonna get him very, very shortly. I think he might be around the corner. Let us welcome Dinesh. Hello, Dinesh.
Hi, Tammy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. It's an amazing. Thank you so much
It's my pleasure altogether. Thanks for having me.
opportunity. And you haven't met the ladies before. Miss Greatness is the one with the turban.
Hi.
and, and she
Hi.
gets to roll
Welcome.
you. And that's
Yeah.
our queen, Miss Soliman Heidi.
Hi, Ellie. Oh,
Hi.
yes.
Just before you came on, Heidi's been talking to us about healing, power, and relish. What do you call it? I can't even call it.
Pranic healing.
Do you know what that is?
I have
Right?
no clue what that is.
Well, there you
I,
go. You're going to learn from us today. But welcome on the show, Dinesh. Before we
Thank
go further, we'll play our music for you. We want you to relax and just chill.
you.
Here,
Oh, wow.
yes. Enjoy this. This is for you.
Sure.
I don't think Dennis, do you dance? Or does that look foreign to you?
I've had a couple of glasses of wine, maybe. Perhaps, given what I was expected to do tonight, I thought it's best to leave the wine away.
And that's that's so good. Wow, thank you, Dinesh. And the profile, I went through your profile, but usually I don't know how to do it well. We like you to tell, but I know that of course, you're next door to me, being an amazing lawyer. I've seen the profile and I've seen the feedback of your clients on your Facebook page, and I honor the way you discharge your job and your duty. It's clean, it's brilliant. I don't even know if you're English or Indian, wherever you are, but anyway, you did an amazing job. And not just you and Palevi, your wife, your
Well,
beautiful.
thank you.
Yeah. Your wife, I can't believe how beautiful she is. But you're gonna tell us later. I saw your a son that is big. I'm like, is this her son? It can't be because it's true. That's a powerful wife, and she contested for the Williamstown. Uh,
Oh,
Miss-
yeah. So, you know all about us then. Yes.
your wife is an influencer, and even though you're quieter, I think you're quieter, but.
Exactly. I prefer to stay away from media. If it was not for you, probably I would not have accepted to go on any sort of video whatsoever.
That is why I was
Wow.
saying that you are kind of maybe English, maybe something. And but I know I thought I'll try my luck, and thank you for honoring this. Truly
Absolutely,
appreciate.
absolutely. My pleasure altogether.
Yeah. So Dinesh, you have been. Did you study in Australia? Your law?
So my underlying degree obviously was in India. I've done my entire degree in India, but when I came to Australia, I got my degree assessed. I had few years of experience at the time, so obviously I was exempted of a lot of subjects over here. The good part is India and Australia both follow Commonwealth law, so a lot of studies that I've done in India are similar to what is in Australia. Well, things
That's
have
good.
changed since then, but yeah, but I had to do some studies here through University of Sydney, and then yeah, obviously I had to go through the process of admission and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know your wife studied law in Australia.
Yes, she has done an entire degree over here in Australia. She's a hardcore family lawyer. I'm a hardcore commercial lawyer.
Come on. I already sent a message to her. I said, if I can get Dinesh, I'll get you, all right? You're my friend.
I'm sure she would love to be part of this. She would love to
I
be part of
know.
this.
She's a community woman, and so I know she will honor.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
I know
And that's why when you called me for the interview, I thought she's the best person. I was trying to push you towards her.
you
But
did. You did. You did. You tried. And, we're saving the best for later. Let's get you first.
absolutely, absolutely.
But Dinesh, tell me, that big boy, is that your son?
Oh yes, both are both are my legit sons. Yeah. The elder one is Adi. He's 16 years now, and
Wow.
the younger one is just 4.
Well, I know that's the
Yeah.
one you go walking and gym with every time. But I
Yeah.
fun. Wow, well done, guys. You've done very,
Yeah.
very
Well, in
well.
between, we forgot how to make babies. That's all.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dinesh. And I discovered that you got one of our sons is doing internship or something with you as well. I'm like,
Yes, yes, that's right.
that's
Yeah, Noah has recently joined us as a trainee. We are training him on convincing side of things, and let's see. We are hoping to build a good relation with him and build his career. Let's see.
it's a good kid. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that's all I want to ask. From ladies, have you got something you want to ask? Because I know sometimes you ask some funny question. What do you want to ask Dinesh before we go into today's?
Yeah, I have a question. How does
Okay.
it
Sure.
feel to be a lawyer married to a lawyer?
Oh wow. Well, it's double the problem. Look, on a serious note, Pallavi has been a fantastic partner. She has supported me all the way along. And yeah, she's joined me in Joshi Laws way back before she started doing a degree, and she quite liked what she was doing. That's what prompted her to pursue her entire degree. Um, but yeah, answering your question, it is tough. it is, it is quite tough. Yeah, you can't get away with silly excuses. She always would have a cross question for you to corner you.
And I can imagine Pallavi, you're gonna be having a lot of fun with her.
Yeah, and to top it, she has now become a politician. So that's even worse for me.
Oh, I know.
So how do you deal with a wife, a politician, and a family lawyer? Gosh,
Come
I'm
on.
already having most of my hair is already gray.
I cannot. If you see the wife, you ladies, you'll be blown away. She's extremely gorgeous. Apart from being learned, I look at that woman. She's brilliant. You've got substance there. You've got
Oh,
it. Got it.
absolutely, absolutely, and thanks for that. I'm certainly would convey that to her.
Yes, thank you. Liz, greatness. Have you got before we go to today? Have you got a question directly to?
Um, well, initially I didn't have a question, but then I kind of just thought, so do you guys speak normal language or you speak in those jargons, the legal jargons at home?
Home.
Um, look, when we are in court, there are times when we have to use some specific terms. Obviously, when we are talking with clients, we try to keep things simple. But then obviously when it will go to court, there would be things that would be more specific to the court etiquettes, and we'll be using those appropriate terms at the times.
I'm talking about when you are at home between the two of you.
Oh, oh well, no, between the two of us, there's hardly any talking. I'm the quiet one. She speaks. I simply listen. She, she,
Wow.
she, she's the judge and I'm the accused.
As charged.
Exactly. You never have any say in it. You simply stand there and accept that it's your fault, and you take whatever punishment you get. That's it.
Oh
Whoa.
man.
I must say she's not alone. All women are like that.
That's it. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Whether your partner is a lawyer or not, I guess the best way to deal with it. I'm sure Bunmi will agree with me.
that's why I'm laughing. Like,
Life is easier when you simply accept your fault.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
You have learned very well. Women is always right.
yeah.
absolutely. Only when you have a couple of glasses of wine down, you start thinking that perhaps this time you were right. But next day morning next day morning you realize how wrong you were.
You were right. Thank you.
Yeah.
We admit. We admit. Thank you so much, Dinesh. I was saying to the ladies before you came on the kafafu that I had like 4 or 5 years ago, and how you saved me out of the problem. Signing up with somebody that you seemingly be a brother or somebody who is extremely godly, and I got coined into it, and then you saved me out of that big mess that was a drama. So this is very appropriate to be able to bring you to talk to us, because sometimes when people hear something like litigation, you think it's a serious thing, but apparently it's just a process. So we thought when we bring you, you might be able to talk to us about, you know, litigation. Firstly, how do we get to you? Can we bring some little small cases to you, or is it a waste of time? Because a lot of time we don't want to go to the lawyers because we think we have to have serious problem to go to the lawyers. So firstly, to talk to us about the litigation, which is the process, and how do we get to you and what are you looking at?
So, look, you're right. Sometimes people think that depending on the type of matter they have, if you have to go to a lawyer, it has to be something very drastically wrong. That's not the case. Every case is different. There are. It's true that litigation is a very costly exercise, but what people don't realize, it becomes really costly when it ends up in court. In commercial law, most of the matters tend to settle outside of the court, because if you have, but having done this over the period of time, when you look at a case, you know, okay, this is where it stands. You're most likely to get a certain level of outcome out of it, and then we essentially issue a notice or a letter of demand, as the case may be. And most of the time the other person goes to a lawyer, the lawyer gives them advice, and then we are a lot of times we are able to come to a sensible resolution even without having to go to court, and that's not that costly. But then still, yeah, these would be claims where one would have to one is claiming 10, 20, 30 or $1,000. It becomes tricky when it is when the amounts are much smaller, as in hundreds and all that. Then obviously I would not say going to a lawyer would be a straightforward exercise. That you obviously have a forum which is WeCat. In WeCat you can run your cases. It's not as the court process is not as stringent as you would find it in magistrates court. So if for smaller claims which are running into hundreds and all a few $100s, you'll be surprised. We get how easy the process is. It's all about just filling up a form. If you call up WeCat, they'll guide you through. Even when the matter is before the tribunal member, they are considerate of the fact that the person in front of me is not a professional and they are just one individual running a business, so they'll be more considerate. The level of evidence required is also of not that level which you otherwise would expect. So to sum it up, my suggestion to anyone wanting to make any monetary claims, or for that matter has any sort of dispute, if it is smaller dispute, you can explore WeCat. Call up Consumer Affairs, Victoria. Obviously, they won't be able to help you with any legal process, but they may put you in the right direction. Will give you some indication of where you stand. Um, or otherwise, just go to a lawyer, get some consultation done to at least understand where you stand. It won't cost you more than few $100s. There are a lot of lawyers who may even do some sort of initial free consultation, and they may give you some indication of where you stand, and then you can take it from there. But yeah, don't give up your claim just assuming that it would be too costly and let it go. The court system, fortunately for us in Australia, is very strong. And if you have a decent claim, it sometimes you would find it's worth pursuing it. Because if you pursue it, you also end up getting your legal cost out of it. So it's not just the actual claim. You can also claim interest and you can also claim legal cost.
Okay, or on the
Yeah.
sum that is owing. I heard what you say about the VCAT and Consumer Affairs. I think, like you said, they can't really do anything. It's not stringent and they can't do anything. And on principle, I'm just, even though it's a small hundred, even if it's 500, but on principle, you've been abused, somebody has cheated you and they get away with murder. What if you want to get a lawyer, for example, for argument's sake, let's even say 500. So I have an outlet there that people can buy 500 in that shop. 500 is a lot of money, and I don't think it's fair for people that are doing little petty business for somebody to buy things 500 and get it away with it. And then you see the person every day and say, I can't pay, what are you going to do? You can't go. They're not going to do anything really. I don't know what they do because I've rang them before and we didn't get anywhere. Or Consumer Affairs. What can lawyer do? Even though it's 500, let's be specific about 500. What can a lawyer do to retrieve? Because on principle.
So look, as lawyers, we can pursue a claim even if it is $100. There's no legal limitation to the minimum claim amount. We can pursue a claim of $100 if we are asked to. Though in commercial one, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, just talking about the example you gave, the starting point would be to see what the claim is and issuing a letter of demand. That gives the other person some time to either pay or respond. If the other person simply ignores, then you are free to take the matter to the court. Um, when I was earlier mentioning WeCat and Consumer Affairs would simply give you guidance on it, but WeCat can actually make orders as similar to any court, which can be enforceable against that individual. So in this example, even if someone was to come to me and say I had a $500 claim, I would still direct them towards WeCat to say, okay, do this in WeCat, make a claim, because WeCat would make orders which are pretty much as good as court orders. You can enforce it. You can, if the other person has any properties, those properties can be attached and monies can be recovered, and that would be the best way forward, I would think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean that not every litigation goes to court?
Sorry, come again?
Does that mean that not every case of litigation goes to court?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm saying in commercial dispute matters, what my experience has shown me, out of 100, only 10 may end up going to court. 90 of them may just settle outside the court. Yeah, because the issue in dispute is money, and people when both the parties are getting legal advice at both ends, it becomes more practical, and both the parties understand where they really stand, how the courts, if at all it goes to court, how the court would look at it, and then one can make an informed decision. A lot of time people would come to me and say, hang on, I've got this claim, that person owes me $5,000, but the harassment has gone. The harassment I've gone because of him. I want to claim another $100,000. Well, in Australia, you don't get anything for harassment, unfortunately. They get these ideas by looking at those US TV shows where there are millions and millions of dollars are awarded as damages. That doesn't happen here. Over here in Australia, you would only be awarded damages to the extent of the damages you have suffered. You won't be rewarded. You won't be rewarded for your suffering. Those are the principles we work on. So when they come to me and they expect that my claim is 5,000, but because of the harassment, I would
Yeah.
get 50,000. That's not going to happen. And then when they know that, they realize, oh, hang on, all right, my claim now is only $5,000. And
Yeah.
then they approach the other person who probably was offering $5,000 all the way along.
So
So
that's
that
good. Not every case needs to go to court, and then
absolutely, absolutely, and you'll be surprised how many matters settle outside the court.
So let's maybe tell us about something that, like, maybe the hardest case that you've had, throughout your career, where you felt like it was treated maybe unjustly in court.
Uh-oh.
Well, I would not say it was treated unjustly.
Of course.
At the end of the day, you put your case forward, and then the other party puts your case forward. Obviously, if the outcome is not favorable, your client won't be happy, and you won't be happy, and that happens. That's what we are into. We always have this thing in law: is the only thing certain about a litigation is that it is not certain.
Okay.
So until, no matter how confident we are about a case, we always tell our client, eventually what the judge may think, we cannot guarantee that. And you ought to be open for any outcome you get. And
Wow.
that is why the level of settlement is much greater in commercial matters, because we tell them, look, you're getting 100,000 for sure today. If you go to court, we are going to pursue $300,000, but I cannot guarantee you whether you're going to get that $300,000. So I see you have case, you have evidence and all that, but having evidence, saying things before your own lawyer is one thing, but setting out things when you're sitting in the cross examination in the witness box, when the other lawyer is questioning you, you may say things perhaps which were not really, which you perhaps should not have. And that's when the judge would have a different view of things, and you may end up with a different outcome. Answering in terms of the question you asked, the most complex case. Look, there have been a lot of complex cases. The most trickiest are the corporate law matters arising out of directors, breach of duties, insolvency, trading, and all that. They are more trickier ones, and they are the ones which are a lot more uncertain in terms of outcome, because but in terms of director's duties, whether the director acted in the best interest of the company or not, it is something which is subjective, and it is a lot based on facts, and what I may think was the right thing may not be the same thing what the judge may think. So I think, okay, in a certain time, I perhaps would have done that as an individual, as a lawyer. I think, okay, that's the right thing for him to do. But perhaps the judge, in his view, has thinks, no, that's not the best thing. He perhaps could have done something else, and all of a sudden you end up with a very unfortunate outcome. Those are some complex matters when it comes to commercial. There are myriads of matters. When we talk about litigation, people generally think it's about only money, getting money from one person to another, but it does get too complex. Commercial law is way too wider than what general public thinks of it.
Yeah.
So there are, on a much simpler level, there could be matters where someone has bought a business. So you go, someone went out and bought a cafe. When he bought a cafe, he was told this cafe makes $10,000 per week in revenue. And then eventually, when he pays the monies and settles, he finds, hang on, it's only making $5,000. Had I
Yes,
known it was 5,000, I wouldn't have paid him $100,000 for this business.
that's true.
That's called misrepresentation. So now, in that, we'll have to prove that if I'm acting for the buyer, that my client was misrepresented as to the sales of the business, and then we try and look through the documents that were exchanged. We even go through the discussions that they had. If there was a third party involved, we'll bring him as a witness to establish, okay, the misrepresentation has occurred. And had this not occurred, my client perhaps would not have paid you $100,000. Hence, you need to give us back the $100,000. So there,
Wow.
there are a lot of things one should understand could be avenues when they think that they have been done wrong with, and it will be a lot of times a prudent thing to go and seek advice, because a lot of people are not aware of the example that I just gave you about representation. They might just think, oh gosh, I was a fool, I did not pay close attention. But that's not how the law works. Essentially, that person was cheated into buying the business. And we have had quite a few, surprisingly, quite a few such matters where eventually the good thing was the client came to us way too soon. As soon as they realized, they came to us, and we were able to take quick enough steps to reverse things. The longer you wait, the more problematic it would become.
That's what I was gonna ask.
And even if you're on the receiving end of things, where things have gone wrong, knowingly or unknowingly, um, it would be a prudent thing to go approach a lawyer, get that understanding of where you stand. Going to a lawyer does not mean you have to go and spend thousands of dollars as soon as you go to a lawyer. Just get a consultation. Just get a 1 hour consultation. Would cost you a few $100s, but it will give you a peace of mind as to what you're thinking is the right track, or whether you need to do something else. And you can save yourself a lot of trouble down the track. And I'll give you another example. Bankruptcy matters. A lot of people have ATO debts, and the ATO debt may be $5,000-$10,000, and at that point in time, due to ill advice or friend of them saying, "Hey, don't bother, ATO doesn't do anything, let it go, set up another company, do business, forget about it." Some have got away with it. Yes, there are people who have got away with it, but there are people I've seen got caught up into it. Because ATO, if they were to pursue it, if they decide to pursue it, they would not think if they have to spend $50,000 for a 10,000 claim.
That's true.
Because their idea is to set an example of it. And I've seen cases where people trying to avoid $50,000 in tax debt have ended up paying $600,000 to the trustees, who were then the bankrupt trustees. So if you don't pay your debt of $50,000, ATO may issue a bankruptcy notice, bankrupt you, and as soon as the trustees start looking into your affairs, they'll start questioning everything you did in the last 3 years or 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so don't neglect the worst thing that you can do to yourself is just put it in the bin. Don't do that. Get yourself that advice. If you go to a lawyer, he will give you some indication of where you stand. He will tell you, okay, if it is getting to that stage, you should do something. And I've had people who have come to me just a day before they were about to be bankrupt and said, he's not paying, I'll do this, I'll do that, but they don't realize how powerful a bankruptcy notice tool is. Once you are bankrupt, you can't reverse it.
You can't reverse it.
You can reverse it, but the amount you will be shelling out will be a lot more than you otherwise would have.
Terrible.
Yeah. So that's what I say. The legal system, fortunately, the legal system is very strong. And on the same note, people should take lawyers' notices seriously. If there are any disputes, take those things seriously. If you receive a notice from a court, 100% do not neglect it, because If it is had gone to court, you would find that it will only and only get worse with time. With every passing day, it is getting worse. Perhaps you're not aware of it, but it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. We're gonna talk about bankruptcy in a minute. We're gonna go deeper into that one because we go on a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back on the show. We've been talking to our learned practitioner, Dinesh Joshi, lawyers, and one of our legal I can't pronounce that word. You have to teach me, learned. In Melbourne, Australia. And thank you so much. If you are joining us for the first time, welcome. And if you're returning, we say thank you so much. That is Joshi Lawyer. We're talking about litigation. And one important thing he just told us that Dinesh was don't put things in the bin, put it on the back burner and say, I can't be bothered, or you deal with it later. Once you get a letter from court, you are not getting out of it. God forbid that you owe $50,000 and then you end up paying 600. You might as well be dead. You know, that is unbelievable. But I've got a question about bankruptcy. If you are unfortunately, ignorantly or unknowingly, work with someone who is bankruptcy and you have not done your due diligence, or what implication has that got to you? And you got joint venture with someone who is bankruptcy. Does that affect you?
Well, if I'll rephrase the question. So, are you saying what if you end up having some sort of arrangement or an agreement with someone who's already a bankrupt?
Yes, and you are not aware.
Okay, well, that's bad. Legally, a person who's bankrupt has got no legal right in his capacity to sign off on any agreement. Anything and everything the bankrupt does belongs to the trustee. So once you are bankrupt, all of your income would go to the trustee, and the trustee would allocate some portion of it which is required for your minimal sustainability, and everything else will be kept by him to pay off the creditors. So to answer your question, no, you cannot have the person in his personal capacity is non-existent. So
Wow.
if you were to have an arrangement with a bankrupt, that would be through the trustee of the bankrupt.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you and for 5 years or 7 years, if that person finishes the term kind of imprisonment, are they free now? Are they
Yes. Yeah,
totally?
they're debt free. They start afresh. So once you have gone through that period, even if it was a multi-million liability, once you have gone through that period, and after that you start afresh. That liability is gone.
Wow.
But that's where people make that mistake. People think they'll stash away some money somewhere and then they'll bankrupt themselves after 6 months. That's what I was saying. The trustee, when he comes into play, he'll start looking at transactions which are way beyond 6 months. You may go back 3 years and see, okay, back in XYZ years, you transferred this property to that friend of yours, and we see that no monies came in. So you transferred that 2 million property to that person. We don't see any money coming in. So they'll chase that person for that property, saying you never paid this money. That means you are holding it for this bankrupt, and that belongs to us now. And they'll spend a lot of money doing this, which then they will use to pay themselves off.
Terrible.
I'm telling you, once you get caught up into that bankruptcy process, it is very, very difficult position to be in. You cannot travel overseas. Everything you do is checked. Everything that you do is counted. You are essentially answering. You have all of a sudden become underage person who has to report to your trustee to do everything, and you don't want to be in that situation.
Mm.
I feel sorry really for some people that are there.
Yeah,
Uh,
look, in some case, yeah, in some cases, it's an unfortunate position. There's nothing you can do, and you would have to go through that. But that should not be a strategy. A lot of people think that is a strategy. Let's go get ourselves bankrupt, and then we'll be out of it. That should not be one of the strategies to get out of that.
wow.
Yeah,
You're right, because we know of a case of bankruptcy that involved millions and millions of dollars. And this case is prolonged over so many years until they exhaust all the money of this person. So, and there's nothing left for them, you know.
absolutely, absolutely.
Why do they keep on prolonging the case to finish this guy's money? Because, I'll say literally, this person is owing $1 million, but then he owns property worth $10 million. Why didn't they remove the $1 million from his $10 million and give him the balance rather than prolonging the case until they finish all the $10 million? All is
That's it. That's precisely what I'm saying. It's not about that million anymore, and that's what I'm saying. They start looking at every transaction, then they start looking at every transaction. They start questioning every, because their responsibility, the trustee's responsibility, then is to assess everything that has happened, liquidate it, pay it off to the creditor. So the monies that come to the trustees, they have to pay themselves off first. So all the monies that they spent trying to investigate all these transactions, the lawyers they engage, they their rates are close to $600 per hour, and then they'll have chain of people working in the law firm, sorry, not in the law firm, in the trustee's office, who would be charging for every minute they spend, and all of a sudden you find that just the cost of the trustees are running into millions. Forget about the original claim that the trustee had.
yes,
But that said, sometimes it's essential for the, so even they are bound by certain rules that they have to follow. They cannot neglect things. So that's what, it's a vicious circle. The trustees have to do what they are required to by the law. They can't ignore things and simply say, okay, I won't do this and I'll do this part. They have to follow a certain process, and that process costs money.
but
And in the example you gave me, $1 million would be the actual claim, but the cost of the trustees would be close to million as well. I don't know how complex that is, but that's what happens.
it's just a shame really, because it sounds as if they're abusing the system as well, because what job do you do that you're charging $600 an hour and charging every month? I think it's a, but I don't want to go there. I feel really bad for anybody that is caught. Ladies, have you got a question for Dinesh? Because before I go.
I think I don't really have a question, but the issues of law are very, very important for us, particularly when you come from a different country, you know.
Yeah.
It's very, very informative to hear you talk about this aspects of the law, and yeah, it's definitely a learning curve for many of us, and it's good to hear what you have to say about the
And
matter.
the only one thing I would like to add here is, make sure you get your paperwork right. Any sort of arrangement you're getting into, any sort of partnership you're getting into, any dealing you're doing, pen it down in paper, and if required, get that law. Spend those few $1,000s to get your paperwork done right. That would help you resolve the problem in a much easier way than not having a document. A written document would make sure that it gets resolved without having to go to court. And when it all boils down to I said, she said, it becomes more complex and more difficult to resolve. So, wherever you're getting into any sort of legal transaction, any dealing, if you're not using a lawyer, at least pen it down. Pen down whatever your understanding you have between you two. That will help you all a long way in terms of any misunderstanding that may occur down the track.
Dinesh, I want to ask, if we have a case to give, and the case is not the amount involved is not a lot, do you prorate your charges according to how much? Would you do that by any chance, or it's dead flat?
Unfortunately, it is that flat. That's the nature of our work. Um, the steps we need to take for a 10,000 claim and a 100,000 claim is pretty much the same. The time you spend most likely would be the same. So if you have a day in court, you have a day in court. You can't take any other matter. So even if you end up spending 2 hours, you have lost the whole day. And even if you spend the whole day, and that's why litigation is a bit costly. It doesn't come cheap. And when the claims are smaller, it becomes very tricky to follow. But again, I'll repeat it. Do not get deterred just with the fact that there could be huge legal costs. You'll be amazingly surprised. A lot of times we see cases which are fairly straightforward, and just a letter of demand may resolve your problem. And
So
VCAT, I can't harp anymore. VCAT is much easier and simpler process. Doesn't cost anyone except the VCAT fees, which is fairly minimal.
my second to the last question is dispute resolution. Do you do that as well?
So I personally don't do dispute resolution. I participate in dispute resolution. So the way essentially that works is, if there is a dispute, I'm acting for a client, and then there's another person who's acting for someone else. So those lawyers would appoint a third person who would be a mediator, who would try and help them resolve. He'll be the person who will try and give us some show us some drawbacks about our side of things. They'll try and show some drawbacks to that other person. And when you're sitting across the table, the tendency, because when you're sitting in a dispute resolution room, you most of the time people do come prepared to try and get out of it and move on. So it does help. And there are people who actually, if you'll just Google one, that they'll be able to act as mediators to assist. Even if there are no lawyers, they'll simply act as mediators between two parties.
Thank you so much, Dinesh. My last question is, how long can someone owe you money for you to forfeit it? For example,
7 years.
good. So if you owe me money 2 years ago, you are not gone yet. You're still
Not gone, not gone.
I'm
But if
getting
it is
all right.
7 years and one day, it is gone.
It is gone. All right.
Yeah,
I
seven.
got
But remember, and again,
that.
that's the problem with law. There's no straightforward answer to it. So just for the sake of clarity, if you owe $100,000 to someone,
Mm,
all right, and that someone paid you $2,000 today, and
yes.
this 100,000 was, let's say, owed in 2015,
Yes.
and that person paid you 2,000 today, then the 7 years starts from today.
Ah, no
So
way.
not from the debt. Every time you acknowledge the debt and make some payment, that means it is pushing further that period.
Is this applicable to like the bank or
Yeah,
traffic
yeah,
fines, all those things?
pretty much everything.
It's good to know. Thank you so much.
No
I,
worries, my pleasure.
I have to respect your time. We've got only 1 more minute to go. Ladies, we got Joshi Lawyer on the show. Hi. Your
Uh,
last chance to talk to the lawyer, because as you heard Dinesh just said, it's flat rate. So you want to talk to him tomorrow, it's flat rate. This is your chance. I think
uh,
you might have got some how are you ladies? We're doing good, yes. Any question for, yes, Dinesh? You said something and someone is they acknowledging that, yes. Thank you so much, Dinesh. We really appreciate it. Ladies, your last chance, and then we will have to say good day.
Yeah, I think I know someone that would like to speak to you. So maybe I'll get your contacts from Temi. later on, and yeah, I'll refer them to you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, LD, and thanks to all of you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Dinesh. If you want Dinesh, he's a public figure, of course, and Dinesh lawyers, you find them, it will pop up on Google, it's on Facebook, it's on every social media platform. But I will take you to the office because I know where the office is, so you don't need to go on Google. We appreciate you and love to Palavi and the boys for us. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dinesh, for
Thank
today.
you. Good night to all of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night. Bye bye. So on this show now, we say Tata for now. We see you same time. Heidi, is it same time next week?
Yes.
Same next week. Thank you so much.
Good
See you
night.
then.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.